Grace and Gravity is the new Christian independently made film by writer, director and producer Andrew Walkington. He previously made For Love's Sake, a film which I actually had a small role in. I will say up front, for the sake of transparency, I did do a few days work on this film as well. It's just been released. You can get it on Amazon Prime Video, and yeah, I'm going to review it. Now, as I say, I did do a little bit of work on it, not a lot. I was only there for a few days, but I still tried to review things that I've been involved with from an objective standpoint, so take that with as much of a pinch of salt as you wish.
Oh, great.
If I see a film, even if it's been made by a friend, I will be truthful about it. I will give my honest opinion.
Can I share something with you?
You're really going to do this, aren't you?
Yeah, just listen. It's in Spanish.
So the film is about these two men who are standing on top of a bridge. One of them wants to throw himself off, commit suicide. He's an atheist, he's abandoned God. He's not always been an atheist, he was a church pastor at one point. And the other guy is this American guy who's kind of on a works trip, but he's got a day off, so he's gone out taking photos and he sees this man trying to throw himself off the bridge. And he's trying to stop him, he's trying to convince him not to, and he's going the route of a dutiful Christian who's trying to tell this man about God. And this man doesn't want anything to do with it, he doesn't want to hear it, he's heard it all before, he knows it. You know, he used to say this stuff himself as a church pastor. So yeah, for me, that's where I think this film mostly separates itself from the likes of other Christian movies, particularly American ones. I can't say I've seen many British Christian movies, to be perfectly fair, so I really do only have the American ones to go off, and for the most part I haven't been truly sold on them. There's been a few that I have genuinely enjoyed. When I think Christian films, the first ones that kind of pop to my head are films like God's Not Dead, which I absolutely despised. Yeah, even as a Christian, I despised that film. I've said that many times before on my channel. But where I think this film separates itself from that film is by having two well-rounded characters, and actually by making the man of faith be the one who is on mostly shaky ground. So in this film, every time the Christian character, played here by Marchiano, tries to win this guy over with words about his faith, about God, this, that and the other, about hope in the Lord and stuff, this guy knows everything. He knows what this guy's going to say. In fact, he knows it better than he does. So when this guy at one point quotes a passage from the Bible, he gets it from the wrong part of the Bible. So this atheist guy, played by Brimblecombe, he corrects him. He says, actually, you've got the wrong book there, mate. It's from a different part. And so he knows all this stuff, and that's what I think makes this film different from the usual Christian movies. It doesn't portray either this atheist guy as a simpleton or as someone who is just lost and needs the help of the good Christian coming along and saving his soul. Again, something I really hated about God's Not Dead. Actually, you know, as a Christian myself, I've gotten into a lot of discussions over the years with atheists, and oftentimes I've gotten myself into holes where actually I soon realise that the person I'm talking to is probably smarter than I am. So yeah, this film doesn't play it for easy kind of sake. And what actually happens is this becomes a bit of an enemy mine situation, in which it's not just about this Christian guy coming along helping the atheist to see the light, but actually the atheist guy helps the Christian guy to work stuff out that's going on in his life too. This is about both men building a relationship, coming together and helping to fix each other through that relationship. And that's one of the things I like about the film. I think it's the primary thing I like about the film, actually. I think that it's a good lesson for Christians that we need to be more relational, that it can't just be about trying to bash people over the head with a Bible. Throwing a Bible quote at someone isn't going to save their life, isn't going to save their soul. But actually building relationships up with people through love is really where we need to be operating from as Christians. If you're not a Christian, if you are an atheist, that, well, in fact, if you're a fervent atheist, then I probably wouldn't recommend this film for you, because if you're going to be one of those people who comes to any kind of Christian film specifically to see it as Christian propaganda and nothing more, then I think that's going to be a pretty big hurdle for you to get over. If you are, on the other hand, someone who sits in the middle, someone who isn't down with religion but doesn't necessarily have a faith, again, I think this would be a film that is worth watching. Not necessarily to win you over and make you become a Christian, but just to see a good drama, a good solid drama that's well written, about two fully fleshed out characters having a dialogue and helping each other, just as you would with any drama in which characters come into each other's lives and have an impact. So the two central performances, obviously, as I say, Richard Brimblecombe and Bruce Marchiano. I really like what both of these guys do with these parts. I've always really liked Bruce Marchiano. He's one of those guys who just has this kind of natural, likable enthusiasm, almost like a childlike quality, but in a good way. And I think Brimblecombe is also very well cast as this atheist guy. Now, this is a very low budget film, it must be said, very low indeed, like practically peanuts, which is quite bizarre because Walkington decided to do it green screen. So everything on this bridge is done green screen. It sometimes shows, it's not studio quality green screen or anything. There are times where trees in the background are kind of flopping about, like you can see the material moving, the green screen moving. So yeah, it's like I say, it's definitely low budget, but given that budget, I think the highest possible results were achieved. There are a few weak spots in the film as well, one of them being a carryover from Walkington's last film, which was Full of Sake. There was some stuff in that film where he kind of went for the humour, and a lot of it was like visual kind of gags. So you'd see characters doing things in wide shots that from a physical standpoint presumably are meant to be funny but weren't, and there's a couple of moments like that here as well. There are still some genuinely funny moments in this film, but I think it's mostly born out of the interaction between these two characters, which again I credit to the actors. There are times where I did genuinely laugh, and it was because of, like I say, the Christian guy might say something and then the look on Brimblecombe's face really kind of spoke volumes and things like that. So I think the humour really works when it's down to what the characters are doing, what the actors are doing. It doesn't when it's kind of relying on physical stuff that has been written, that has been directed that way in the script, I think. There's also one scene in the film that doesn't quite work for me on the level that perhaps it should, which is a death sequence. So there's a particular character that we see in flashbacks from one of the characters when they're telling the story, and yeah, it's kind of like a deathbed scene, but I don't really feel like that person genuinely has cancer. And I don't know that it's down to the performance, because there's a scene earlier on in the film when that particular actress, she has this other scene where it's her, the husband and the daughter, and she's quite good in that scene. So I think what it is the framing of it and the way that she's sat in the bed. So it's kind of like the husband is talking to her while she's in the bed and she's almost lay flat, and it don't kind of work. And I think if you'd propped her up so that they're almost face to face, so that we can get close up into her face and let her use the eyes more, that probably would have worked better for me. But yeah, that scene just didn't work for me. I think as a result of the low budget as well, we are kind of in the realm of mostly static shots. You know, stuff on tripods, things like that. We don't really get too many roving cameras. We get a few nice moments, a few nice transitions actually, where the camera is on like a track and it'll go from one room into another, which is nice. So I like that stuff, but for the most part we are on static shots. And I think with an increased budget, and this is something I've said before, as I say, I know Andrew Walkington, the director, and I just feel like if this guy was given a lot more money, he could do a lot more with it. And you know, given the low budgets he's worked with, he always seems to produce something that, for my money, is definitely worth watching, and this film is no different. So if you're vehemently against Christian movies, they're just not for you, you hate Christianity, and it's... One, I'd ask, why are you watching a Christian film if that's the case? But two, this most likely isn't for you. If you're somewhere on the fence or you are a Christian, then I think this might challenge you, but not in the ways that most Christian films try to. I think it's more well balanced, and I think it's directed more at fixing the problems with the Christian rather than the problems with the atheist. So yeah, a very good film for my money. I would say 3.5 out of 5. I think with an increased budget that could take this film to places that obviously the budget that they had couldn't, I reckon that grade would definitely increase because the quality of the film would. So yeah, 3.5 out of 5 from me. But what about you? If you have seen it, it's probably doubtful at this point. This is probably the first time you've even heard of it. But if you have, or you're going to go out and check it out, then come back and let me know what you think about it. Leave your comments below, let me know your thoughts, and until next time, cracking.